When it's business as usual, our tools are essentially people are in action and decision mode in an automatic way. It's a bit like driving a car. Once you've learned to drive the car, you often don't know how you got from A to B because the thinking time that you apply to driving is very limited. You have a routine, you have a way of doing things, and it happens essentially automatically. A big part of our life is routine, and what it does, it frees up the time to think. So often people, when they're driving to work, are not focused on the traffic and not focused on driving the vehicle. What they're really focused on is what movie am I going to watch, or what customer am I going to talk to, or who should I call? And often some of us are making phone calls while we're driving because we want to use the other parts of our brain productively. So in that model, you also saw that we tend to cut out a lot of the thinking piece. So we're really operating with 2 of our 3 tools, or mostly with 2 of the 3 tools. Then what happens when we get a crisis? The classic picture of the deer in the headlights, as we say. Now, this happened to me a number of times living up in Muskoka, driving at night. It's usually just when it's getting dark. You'll be driving down a road and there will literally be a deer in the road or crossing the road or at the edge of the road wondering whether they should cross the road. And this happened to me the one time I was coming down the road at a fairly reasonable speed, and this young deer was standing in the road, and it literally froze. And I realized that I also froze. I continued at the same speed. My brain was trying to absorb what I should do. Should I veer to the right and maybe go in the ditch? Should I veer to the left and potentially hit other traffic? Or should I try and slow down, and do I have enough time to slow down? Well, in that particular case, the deer disappeared before I got there. So luckily the problem solved itself. But in most crises, you face a situation where you're potentially going to hit the deer. So what happens is suddenly you've gone from action and emotion to 0. All 3 of your tools are on hold. Conceptually, what we want you to do when you have a crisis is to get over the deer in the headlights piece as fast as you can. What will happen is often your employees will be glued to the internet watching news broadcasts. They will want news updates every hour, even though they don't change. They will want to talk to colleagues. Everybody is trying to figure out what to do. They're frozen. Your first reaction as a business owner is to tell them to get back to their routine work. This is a natural reaction. And part of the challenge is perhaps it's time to actually down tools for a minute. What you really want to do is get people to break the routine, to stop the action and start thinking. Because what we need now is different routines, different actions. And thinking is hard and it takes time. If you as the business owner tell the employees to heads down and do the routine, what you're really saying is you, the business owner, now have all the thinking to do yourself. When I was involved in businesses that were in trouble, one of the first things I did when I went in was we would call a meeting of all the employees. And we would give them as much information as we could, good and bad. We would tell them how bad the company was. We would tell them all the problems. We would tell them all the bills that hadn't been paid and should be paid. And we asked them for advice. Suddenly, we had hundreds of people thinking about the problem, not just us. We treated the employees like adults. Once they have the facts, they now can engage in better thinking than if they don't have the facts. If they trust that you will give them honest and complete information, they will trust that you have their best interests at heart, and they will be coming to you with ways of saving time, ways of routines that are not urgent, and things that need to be addressed that maybe have been put off in the past. This is an incredibly powerful tool. It's very seldom done by the business owner who gets into trouble. Traditionally in business, we keep a lot of information quiet. A lot of business owners don't discuss their financial information with employees. They don't discuss their worries and problems. Also, what would happen is when we took over these businesses that were in trouble, we were candid with the suppliers. We were candid with our bankers. We were even candid with our customers. We said to the customers, if you want us to stay in business, this is what you need to do to help us. We would tell suppliers, if you want to continue doing business with us, this is what we'd have to do. In the Finance Masterclass, we go into a lot more detail on how to do that. But the basic principle is don't keep this to yourself. Share this information, share it candidly. with COVID-19, you've seen that the public condemns the politicians that don't openly discuss what's going on with their constituents. And those governments that do, people are galvanized and taking action much more quickly and much more respectfully.